Welcome to the Baseline on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley. Baseline.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Putback on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley here with my buddy Chris Williamson. Chris, what do we have for the Baseline this week?
Well, Ian, the NBA offseason is officially underway, but let's look back to the NBA Finals. The Lakers are once again champions. LeBron James has his fourth ring, but let's spin it to the Big Apple. What can the Knicks learn from the Lakers, and especially the Miami Heat, who had an incredible run this season?
Yeah, well, with the Lakers, I mean, can you acquire two of the top five players in the league, and can you fill out the roster? I think that's maybe the lesson there. But more so with Miami. You know, Tom Thibodeau spoke in glowing terms about the Miami Heat culture, Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, and remember, Thibodeau coached with the Knicks under Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy coached with the Knicks under Pat Riley. He learned a lot from observing Miami over the years, from the way they go about their business, developing players, and finding some diamonds in the rough. You know, you see it with Duncan Robinson, and I don't think anybody thought Tyler Hero would be the player he was this season. The Knicks obviously would like to find similar diamonds in the rough, and they've put a lot of money into their player development program, whether it's assistant coaches or beyond that. The last thing here is obviously Jimmy Butler was at the top there. And I know that there were people in the Knicks organization who really thought signing Jimmy Butler last summer, once they were not going to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, was a good idea. They felt like Jimmy Butler could push that team forward. Ultimately, some of the top decision makers, as my buddy Mark Berman from the New York Post has pointed out, felt that Butler would not be a great fit. They felt that he may not react well or fit well with the young players on the roster. But I think based on how Butler's played this season, it's safe to say that everybody with that Knicks regime would still have a job if they had decided to sign Jimmy Butler last summer.
He used to be in New York, winning Sixth Man of the Year. Now he's following LeBron, but left something else behind. He only made one bucket, but he's losing all his gear. Tell me where in the world is
J.R. Smith's t-shirt.
This week's guest is former Knicks point guard Raymond Felton, who spent 14 seasons in the NBA, including 2 stints at the Garden.
You got two coaches who come from the old era. You know what I'm saying? 2 coaches who really going to demand a lot from these young guys. At the same time, like, you got 2 guys who are like father figures. And these guys, I think these younger guys in New York need that. And no offense to any of the coaches that was there. Like, I know a lot of them who was there, and they were good friends of mine. So, you know, when you got a young team like that, you know, it's hard to win in this league. When you add Tibbs and you add Woody, 2 guys like that who's been around for a long time, coached a lot of basketball, has been successful at coaching. You know, I think that's going to help those young guys.
And Ray, you speak about bringing back Woody. What about Carmelo Anthony coming back? How much value do you think he would provide to the young guys who probably really look up to him?
I think that'd be great. I think every team needs a veteran, needs somebody who's been in the league 14, 15 plus years to like just be there. You know, and may not be somebody that you really don't play as much, don't play at all maybe, like Udonis Haslem. I think he do more for that team than Jimmy Butler. What he did when he yelled at them in that timeout and got in all their faces, that's priceless. That's priceless, man. And that's what those young guys need.
You jumped on Knicks Fan TV, I think it was a few months ago, with my buddy CP and those guys. And I'm going to steal this question from them because I thought it was a great question. Do you ever think about what might have happened? And I know Melo maybe couldn't have done it, but if he had waited that full season and then come to you guys, come to the Knicks in free agency, you have that team, you know, more intact than it was after the trade. Do you ever think about what might have been there?
Oh, man, that would have been fun. That would have been a lot of fun. Adding him to that team with a Gallo, with the Wilson Chandler, Landry Fields, you know, Tony Douglas, Timothy Mozgov, like we was loaded, man. Amari was, you know, young, but, you know, had a lot of years in the league at that point. So, you know, like I would just love to have seen like what we would have done.
Were you shocked about that trade with Carmelo Anthony that sent you to Denver?
Yeah, I was, you know, and being a young guy, it was my 6th season. You know, it was like a small shock to your ego. You like, you know, starting point guard, you play well, almost made the All-Star game, and then boom, you get traded. And that was my first time getting traded. So it was just like it was a shock, and it was a reality check, and just understanding at that point that, you know, the NBA is just not only about basketball, it's about business too. So, that made me look at things a whole lot different.
Did it put like a chip on your shoulder when you got traded?
Well, every time I came back to the Garden, it did. I was trying to make sure we won every time we came back. But, other than that, it was no chip, man. I had a lot of great relationships with a lot of people within that organization, a lot of people in New York. So, it was no hate. All love.
Ray, your first tenure in New York, you guys started out red hot with you and A'mare Stoudemire, especially the pick and roll under Mike D'Antoni. How did that chemistry develop, and what was your relationship like with A'mare during that first stint?
Oh man, it was amazing, man. Me and A'mare came up together, really playing AAU ball, basketball camps, McDonald's game. I mean, pretty much everything throughout high school. So we already had that chemistry, that relationship. So playing in that system up under D'Antoni was perfect. Just pick and roll, freedom to just do what you want as a point guard. He gave me that trust and that confidence. So it was fun, man. That chemistry with A'mare was amazing. I would love to have seen what we could have done if we would all stayed together.
Hey, Ian. My question is whether you get the sense that Leon Rose is approaching this offseason as year one of his own rebuild of the Knicks, or more of a continuation of the rebuild that's been going on under Scott Perry the last couple of years, and how that might affect some of his personnel decisions, if you might want to be a little bit more patient as opposed to 2021 where you get the really big names both in the draft and free agency.
Eli, thanks for checking in, and that's a great question. I think Leon Rose is very much appreciative of what Scott Perry is bringing to the table and what he has accumulated during his time as Knicks GM when it comes to the cap space and the future first-round picks. But make no mistake, this is very much Leon Rose's show. This is year one for him on his vision. I think that he's not going to go out and pay big money multiple years for an all-star player in the middle of his career this offseason, because that's not where the Knicks are from a team building perspective. I think what's more likely to happen is they make some incremental moves that help them be more competitive in the 2021 season. And in turn, that helps you go into that 2021 offseason with the free agent class that you mentioned and makes you more attractive to those potential free agents. Ray, looking back from when Mike Woodson took over in the middle of that season, and then what you guys were able to do the next season, what was it about Mike that allowed you guys to thrive the way you did as a group?
Yeah, I came in after the Linsanity.
Right.
Jay Begley had a great run that year, and then I came in next season, and just having those veterans on that team. We had Jason Kidd, Kirk Thomas, we had Marcus Camby, Rasheed Wallace for a little bit before he decided he retired, and then we added Kenyon Martin. You added like those caliber veteran guys who could still play and help you win games with me, Melo, A'mare, Tyson Chandler, J.R. Smith, who was Sixth Man of the Year. Iman Shumpert, it was scary. It was fun. We was number 2 in the East. We dropped that first game to Indiana. We just never could recover from that. You know what I'm saying? We could never beat them in Indiana. They could never beat us no more in the Garden. And I feel like if we could have got that to Game 7 that year and got that win and went to Miami for the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't know. Miami might have been in trouble because they couldn't beat us that year. We was 3-1 against them that season, so I don't know. It might have been a problem for them.
Yeah, I think everybody in New York, and I'm sure you guys were looking forward to that one because of how well you guys played them in the regular season. I got to pat myself on the back because I think I got an exclusive quote from you once about Mario Chalmers and how you guys were going to give them problems, and that created a stir, and then you guys came out and beat them. So you guys had their number to a certain degree that regular season. Do you think the Boston series extending the way it did hurt you guys going into Indiana because there wasn't a ton of rest?
I don't think it really hurt us. I think it was just more so like we just kind of got unfocused there for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We was playing so well. We was just going through Boston, and, instead of closing them out, we end up extending the series. And, just the mindset kind of just got different for a second, kind of got off focus and got a little too happy, a little too early. And, that's normal. We human, that happens. And, still ending up winning the series. And then like you said, we lost that first game, and it just kind of hurt us a little bit.
Ray, thank you so much for joining us. For Ray and Chris, I'm Ian. We'll see you next week on the Putback.